Folks, welcome back to the Priory podcast. My name is Dave Jackson. Welcome back to Western PA. So today on the podcast, we have a true mensch, an actual mensch on the show today. He toured in 1989 as vocalist, toured in 1990 as a logistics coordinator. He's won a Roger, a Wilco, recipient of the Golden Roger, has helped hundreds of contestants navigate their way through Worldwide, helped handfuls of team leads to figure out how to be a team lead. I can't think of a more person that's more respected and loved in the program other than you know who than this person. It was such an honor to talk to him last night, and I really can't wait for you to watch the episode today. So please welcome the one and only, a true mensch, Mr. Derrick Wright. On you. All right, folks, we've got a mensch with us today, Mr. Derrick Wright.
What's a mensch?
Oh, what's a mensch? Are you serious?
Is that what you said? You said
Yeah,
a mensch?
A
Okay.
mensch is a Jewish word for somebody with honor and integrity.
I learned something today. I was
Oh,
trying not to
wow.
learn
All
anything
right.
today.
There you go. Mensch. You are a mensch. We have lots of mensches in
Okay.
our little world.
In our little world.
We have a lot of mensches.
Cool.
So let me tell you, how you doing, first of all? You doing okay? You doing all right?
Yeah, man. Hey, back to working for well, I never stopped working for the government, but
Right.
I used to be at home for about a year and a half
Uh-huh.
after they sent us all home.
Right.
And then now we're back in the office because people want to know what we're doing at the end of the week.
Right.
So that's where we're off. I mean, we were off for 3 or 4 days because of the Army's parade.
Right.
And so yeah, so back to working, doing my thing.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So when you sent me your pictures, I said, I want to do a little bit different interview with Derrick. I thought to myself, I don't know a whole lot about Derrick, meaning I want to hear the Derrick, before we get everything blue and blue peripheral, I want to hear the Derrick origin story. I don't know where you grew up. I don't know I don't know anything really, other than the pictures I saw about you, what I know about you from, our interactions over the past few decades. I don't know anything about you.
Well,
Hit me with
I
some
guess,
origin story.
yeah. I was born a little black child.
Fair enough.
No, yeah, okay. I'm originally from Monroe, Louisiana.
Okay.
I am a military super brat. Um,
Oh,
my family runs from, well, no, there's no more Airman Basics. Right now, the only people who are in the military is my first cousin,
okay.
and he is a lieutenant general out at Tinker.
Oh, wow.
Both of so that's the highest, and then it goes down to yeah, it could probably go down to staff sergeants. I got cousins and things of that nature. Four brothers that were in the military, two in the Army, two in the Air Force.
I had no idea.
Um, so my real father was in the military. He was in the Army.
Okay.
And then my stepfather, the one who raised all of all of me and my brothers,
Mhm.
he retired as a senior master sergeant in the Air Force.
Mhm.
Uh, Uncles went from um, staff sergeant all the way up to chief, um, and many cousins, just that served.
Right.
That's the best way, and I think we covered all of the branches except for maybe Coast Guard, but I could be wrong.
Oh, well,
So
somebody could be a Coast Guardian.
A Coast Guardian. I mean, the only thing we don't have is the Space Command
Right, right.
thing yet. So,
So out of how you're the young, you're the what? Where are you in the brothers? First, second, fourth, fifth, sixth?
I'm number three.
Okay.
Um, my mom had six boys.
Wow, God
Um,
bless that woman.
oh well, no, God bless us because she didn't play. Yeah, my mom's from Louisiana.
Uh-huh.
Everybody pretty much from Louisiana. But yeah, I have my oldest brother. He's still living. He lives about 25 miles from me. His name is Tyrone.
Hmm.
The next one would be Rusty. He passed away. He got hit by a car at age 8. Um,
Sorry.
and then I came after him. I got hit by a car at age 8, but I survived.
I got hit by a car at age 8.
Hey, 8 is that number,
8
man.
is the
But hey, I got up, I got hit, I got up, and I walked home.
I got hit, thrown up in the air, came straight down to the hood, rolled off the hood of the car, and I swear every town first responder was on that street that day. It's crazy. Wow, eight's the year to get hit by a car. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
But before that, I fell out of a tree. I fell
Okay.
through a plate glass window. My
Not
mom
not
would
at the same
always
time,
call
right?
me, yeah, my mom would call me the adventurous one, I guess. So after that, I got a brother who retired from the Army, 28 years. His name is John. And then I have Victor, who retired as a lieutenant colonel. Um, he lieutenant colonel in the Air Force.
Mhm.
Um, and then the baby brother is Tori. Um, that's the son my mother and my stepfather had together,
Okay.
and he's a lawyer in L.A. and in New York. And so he lives in LA, and every now and again he'll get a call and he'll fly out to New York and do his thing and come on back home. So, um, yeah, six boys, no girls. I was supposed to be the girl.
Hmm.
Thank God I wasn't.
Hmm.
But yeah, she wanted a girl, but it didn't happen.
Did you always know you were going to go in the military when you were a youngster?
No, I thought I was going to be in the NBA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to pitch for the Yankees, so there's that.
We played all sports. I mean, we were for our time, we were, recruited a lot
Uh-huh.
for that. My favorite sport is baseball. My best sport is basketball.
Okay.
Uh,
Favorite and best. I like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, high school ran track, all that other stuff, but yeah, I always wanted to be um, an NBA player, wasn't quite tall enough like these young kids today. Um, but yeah, I could handle my own. I put it like that.
How,
Um,
how did you how did you decide, okay, I guess the military is the way to go? What happened there?
I got injured.
Okay.
I went to junior college. First year, did a good job, I guess.
Mhm.
And then summertime training, I messed my knee up pretty bad, and so that kind of ended that a little bit, and I was a little bit depressed about that,
Yeah, rightly
uh,
so.
got a little attitude. So my stepfather, I hate calling my stepfather, but he was like, hey, he was a first sergeant.
Okay.
And he called me into his office, and he's sitting behind the desk, and I'm going like,
Right.
yeah, acting like I'm in the military.
Yeah.
He said, it was like the first part of the summer. He said, I'm gonna give you 2 months. You're either going to go back to school or you're going to go in the military.
Oh, kind of forced your hand a little bit.
Yeah. And like I said, that was the first time he was, and that was the first time and the last time he needed to be a first sergeant with me. And I puffed my chest up and was like, "Hey, I ain't doing all this, blah 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 blah. I'm gonna go talk to your mom. I mean, I'm going to
Yeah.
talk to mom.
Yeah.
You know, here I am, 19 years old. I'm going to talk to mom."
Right.
And mom, I got home and mom was like, don't you even open your mouth. He, he laid the law down and he was, I mean, I patterned myself after him very, very, I mean, he was very laid back. Uh, but he was a, he was a great, phenomenal first sergeant. That's what his job was. That what made him that. Um, So yeah, after I pouted for about maybe a day or two or whatever, um, I went back up to his office, tail between my legs, and
Right.
yeah. So he was like, "Hey, you're gonna do fine. This is gonna be the best decision of your life. Believe me." And I really didn't believe that at that time because I wanted to play sports and
Mm.
things of that nature. But he was right, like he was with everything else.
I'm surprised he didn't pitch, hey, the Air Force has got basketball teams and baseball teams and all that kind
But
of
I
stuff.
already knew that.
Oh, you knew it. Oh, that's
Yeah,
true. You
yeah,
probably already knew that. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's how I spent, I spent the summers and go up to the base gym and
Yeah.
play basketball all day. So I knew that. I
Right.
watched the base teams and the Air Force teams, and we were well addressed of all of that stuff. So
Well, that's interesting with all the sports teams, especially in those days, sports teams were really highlighted in the military.
yeah.
Then you had the entertainment side, our side of the military. It's interesting that you kind of diverted over here towards entertainment.
You just wait till that story comes up
Oh,
because
I'm here for
I,
that.
yeah. So I went in first base, Grand Forks, North Dakota, uh, and again, we were living in Southern California then
Mhm.
at that time. Um, so went
What a
to
change.
huh?
What a change that is.
Man, look, I, okay. I started out as a security forces.
Uh,
Scored high on all the tests and all this other stuff, blah, 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 blah. But the only openings were cook and
security.
security. So, my dad, I
And
mean,
bomb disposal.
yeah, yeah. My
Probably.
dad said, "Hey, you don't want to be a cook." I was
Yeah.
like, "Of course," because my mom would cook for us all the time. We couldn't be in the
Yeah.
kitchen. So I went, oorah and all this other good stuff, and um, had a lot of good mentors to go and do that, and was just once I got to Grand Forks, I've always had people looking out for me. From the standpoint was that I couldn't go anywhere without people knowing who I was based upon my uncles and cousins and things of that nature.
Hmm.
So I got to Grand Forks, was there for about a week or two or whatever. This tech sergeant came knocking on my door, and I'm like, "Who the hell are you?" Basically, in my head, because I was very military at that
Hmm.
time.
Right.
Um, he said, "Hi, you don't know me, but I know your uncle, blah, 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 blah. Anything you need, just let me know."
Wow. You
So,
had quite the
so
network.
yeah, I mean, I had a huge network, but that backfires sometimes because you can't do anything. They already know your story. They know where you come from. They
Yeah, that's true.
know all that other stuff. So you can't be, a knucklehead.
Right.
So Grand Forks was fun. I merged my desire for sports with it. I got there, played flag football, played basketball, played base basketball, and I was in sack, so I was going to sack camp, all of that stuff. Played softball, played hardball, you know.
Wow.
So, that's why I was able to adjust to Grand Forks,
Uh-huh.
because as long as you kept me in sports,
Yeah.
I could stay out of trouble.
Right, right.
I didn't drink at that particular time.
Uh-huh.
So, wasn't like I was gonna get in trouble, but so that's all that. Yeah, I left Grand Forks, went to Kunsan Air Base in Korea.
Hmm.
Um, then called my uncle who was stationed at Lackland. I said, look, y'all done, I'm 0 for 2 for assignments. Can I get somewhere where I can enjoy myself?
Hmm.
You know. So then after that I went to Nellis.
There you go.
Um,
That's a hookup right there.
Yeah, that was a nice hookup. Still all sports.
Uh-huh.
So all sports.
And what year are we at now?
80, 85 to 86, I was at Nellis. And then I got stationed at Vandenberg.
Not too bad of a hookup.
No, that was a great hookup because my
Yeah.
uncle was there.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I was 3 hours away from home. All I did was just switch. I flip-flop.
Yeah.
Nellis was 3 hours away from my mother's house. And then when I went to Vandenberg, that was 3 hours back to my mother's house. So I was always there, you know. So yeah, so did all that, still playing basketball, things of that nature. Um, and then that's where the switch came from sports to music.
Okay. Let's, let's hear that transition.
Oh, wait. Well, a lot of people know, a lot of people don't ask, but I have no musical training at all.
Oh, you and I have more in common than we thought.
No, that you can play. I have no musical training at all. Only time I sang was when my auntie made us sing in the choir.
Okay. So music wasn't your goal per se. You didn't pursue it.
I love it.
Yeah, but you didn't say that's my future. Nothing like that. Okay.
Not at
I'm with
all.
you. I'm with you.
Not at all.
Okay.
At Vandenberg, yeah, at Vandenberg, young lady, I call her a prior. I don't think she completed a whole tour, but it was a family situation by the name of Bernicia Swoop.
Okay. That's a great name.
Yeah, she was the one who um, put the idea in my head that I should pursue trying out for Thompson Blue.
Just
Now,
off the cuff like that without even seeing you. Just, hey, I think you
just
make some just real, just like
d-
that.
back then, the weekends for us at Vandenberg, the dorms,
Hmm.
and Friday night would be people playing music, and things of that nature. And you go off into different areas. And they were setting me up. Well, she was setting me up, basically. So they would, be going through and singing stuff and doing duets and things of that nature. And I just listened. So, do you know Damon Man?
I do not.
Me and Damon toured together.
Okay.
But before then, me and Damon was in basic training together,
Oh, wow.
bunks right next to each other.
Wow, that's almost unheard of. Wow.
And Damon is just a musical genius. I
Okay.
mean, so he was like, so he taught me how to harmonize. That was back in 82.
Okay.
Um, and there's a story that connects that too. Um, so yeah, so Bernicia, was, talking me into it and things like that. And then I went to church at Vandenberg,
Mhm.
and the next mentor or influencee or mentor, because Benicia
Mhm.
was my mentor, she got me started. Next one was the fantastic Mr. Huey Gaucher.
Okay.
Walks up to me after church service and he says, "Hi, my name is Huey Gaucher. Um, you don't know me. I am a member of Lee's Unique, and I want you to be in my vocal group." And I'm
Wow.
like, okay,
So you
don't
were
know what you
recruited by Huey. Your
by
origin
Huey.
story starts literally with Huey.
Huey, not anybody else. It went from Venetia.
I can't wait to get this guy on. I can't wait to talk to Huey.
So, so then we had our first meet, and
Why'd you put that in
and
quotes?
huh?
Why'd you put that in quotes?
Because
Or
of the
was it a meet?
people who were involved.
Okay.
So that's where I met Daryl Harris for the first time and Daryl Lamar. I knew Daryl Lamar because he would be at the gym.
Hmm.
So when Huey was already there, I walk in because I don't like being late. Uh, and then Daryl, yeah, Lamar walked in. And Lamar looked at me and I looked at him. I'm like, "Oh, I know him." And Lamar was like, "You sing?" I was like, I guess I do because
I was told I did.
I was told I do." Uh, and then the great Daryl Harris walks in with the great history,
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so Huey was kind of like running it. Of course, them three were running it.
Right.
I was just tagging along. So we my first base level talent show. Uh, I did do a duet with Bernicia,
Yeah.
and
What year was
then
this first talent show?
1988.
Yeah.
1988.
And I
So
didn't ask you, what year did you go in the service? What year did you go the basic training?
1982,
Yeah.
July
Yeah.
7th, hot day.
I went in July 30th of 1980, so I can totally relate. Yeah. That was a hot
Yes,
mug down there, brother.
man, buddy. Yeah, it was.
All right.
Yeah,
So
red
the guys
flag.
got you recruited, you're in the band. I didn't mean to interrupt, I apologize.
No, yeah. So we went to, and all this stuff I had no clue about, but I had never missed the Tops and Blue show.
Oh, which begs the question real quick, if I could put you on hold there. Where'd you
Mhm.
see your first show?
I'm guessing it had to be okay. My mom and stepdad got married in 1970, so it had to be something like, and then the show started back in 72. Um, so I'm just going to say from 72 on, because anytime that they came to the base, we had to go.
Right.
At that time, I'm thinking we had to go,
Yeah.
but then I never have missed a show.
Hmm.
No, I mean, no, I was the kid who would be breaking into the theater after they went off to change their clothes
Hmm.
to get a view of it. And I've never had missed a show.
So that didn't give you the
Nowhere.
bug at all? That didn't give you any little bit of the, this might be something I want to do, nothing like that? At that, I mean,
Oh,
to see all
heck,
the shows in the 70s, or the vast majority of them, is incredible.
all man, and from that statement, there's nowhere in the world that I could envision myself up
Right.
on the stage doing what they were doing
Right.
because they were all,
Larger than
musical, you
life. Yeah.
know. But I love the show. I mean, all the flash. I mean, I took it all in from the truck, from them walking in, from all of that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so my first base level talent show, won first place duet, won vocal group with Huey them.
Okay. What'd you
Uh,
sing?
we sang Stormy Weather.
Okay.
Yeah, a cappella.
Nice.
Yeah, nice for them because they knew
Yeah.
what they was doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right.
But my whole thing was that Huey said that I think my strength was you give me a note, I'm not going to forget it.
Yeah. Well, you've got an ear. You have an ear.
Yeah, that's what I learned.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So harmony has always been my thing. Yeah, I would rather sing in a vocal group or a duet than do solo
Mhm.
all the time.
Yeah.
So we went to SAC SAC command. We won. Bernicia couldn't go to SAC, um, so the vocal group went, and we won first there.
That's
And
amazing. Your
then,
first time out doing this,
yeah,
you're just knocking out the
I'm,
trophies.
look, I'm just riding along, up, buddy. I'm just riding along. That one picture I sent with all us four holding
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that was that they were telling me everywhere to go.
Right.
Take two step left, two
Yeah.
step right, you know, blah blah. So um, I got the bug in 1988 because the first two was I was like, okay, you know, you can tell. I mean, Sac had some monsters,
Mhm.
but I came in with monsters.
Yeah.
We knew, there's that wasn't going to be a lot of people that was going to give us any competition with it.
So you would have
Uh,
been pretty confident.
yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, I was riding Huey's in confidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Right.
know,
I'll just borrow some of Huey's confidence today. Yeah.
yeah. It's just, yeah, sit here, walk here, don't talk to them, don't talk to them. You
Yeah.
know, I failed on a lot of those because
Right.
I was a sponge. You
Right.
know, that's first time I went. That's when we got to worldwide. Um, that's when I started meeting what I call the greats.
So
The
you went straight through the system all the way your first time through. You went to
straight
base level, command level, worldwide in your first year.
in my first year.
That's incredible. I mean, I know it
All
happens
the
a lot, but for someone like me that took decades to get to that level, it's amazing to me, especially back then, because back then, there was no YouTube and all that other stuff. You had
oh
to really show your shit. You really had to prove your worth and get through, especially SAC. I mean,
look,
those guys didn't play.
no, we didn't. I mean, like I said, after that match, after the sack,
Mhm.
we had to go to Minot to put together our sack showcase. Kind
Mhm.
of like TAC had theirs, and
USAP. Yep.
you Savy had those. So that was in Minot, and that was ran by Sandy Carter. May she rest in peace. Another huge, mentor for me.
Mhm.
You know, uh, gave me the ropes. You're gonna be something, and blah 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 blah, and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, I'm back in North Dakota.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but again, SAC Showcase was ran just like Thompson Blue. Nothing. I mean, you get up early in the morning, you rehearse them late at night. You're walking in line, you open the doors for people. You got all. We got all of that training.
Mhm.
So the first night of Worldwide, all the other commands are except for USAFE because they knew the routine.
Mhm.
You know, the rest of these commands are falling asleep and all of things of that nature, but we were already used to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, my first worldwide, I got the bug the first day. when Roger came in and started talking. Man, I'm telling you, I did I cry that night? I
What
don't know.
what a spectacle, huh? When you
What?
first see that,
Yeah.
it's such a spectacle when you first see that.
I mean, Mr. Walker had, that voice. I
Mhm.
didn't know he was Mr. Walker at that time because I
Yeah.
didn't, you know, but um, but yeah, that voice, all the people around, people all excited. That was like about 300
Mhm.
contestants
Yeah.
easily,
Yeah. Huge.
So this went through all of that, going through, the contest. We didn't win at Worldwide.
Yeah.
Huey was pissed. Um, and then, but I knew, like I said, from that first day, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. I didn't know how I was going to do it because, like I said, I mean, at all the you know, rehearsals and meetings and interviews and all that stuff, I'm like, how am I asked myself, how am I going to do this? And I don't have the tools that
Mhm.
these people have,
Mhm.
and Mr. Edwards wasn't making it any better, he had everybody stand up, first time here, everybody getting round applause, then he makes them sit down. And
Mhm.
then he starts going through 2, 3, 4,
Mhm.
5. And you look around and some people they're at 17, and they're still standing. And I'm like, am I going to be that dedicated to do it?
Right.
You know. But after we got through with Worldwide, after he announced the team, um, and my
That was
name wasn't
for the
announced.
88. That was for the 88 team? For the
Yeah,
80, yeah, for the 88.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I knew that once he said, this is, Thompson Blue 1988, I went to writing. I wrote him, I wrote Mr. Edwards 2.5, 3-page letter right
What?
there, right there, thanking him for, this experience, blah, 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 never seen this before in my life
Uh,
as a contestant, and I said, I will be back. And when I got off that plane, that's all. I mean, I was just absorbing everything,
right.
singing everywhere, doing this and
We're
that.
already pre-planning for your next shot.
And that was 1989.
Mhm.
Uh, and I went back I went back to Worldwide as a male vocalist.
Okay. But you had to go through all SAC and all that stuff again, though, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Right.
then that was fine.
So what did you sing at your base level, command level for the 89 one and the worldwide? What did you sing there? Sing during that thread?
Oh, In Your Eyes by
Oh,
Jeffrey Osborne.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I was the first male vocalist at Worldwide um, in 1989. Out of I think there were 20, 22 male vocalists,
Mhm.
you know. Um, and I know numbers. So if I'm the first one, I had already accepted that I was not going to be in the finals.
Mhm.
But that has never, it's never been my goal to win a Wilco or Roger or anything. I could give a crap about those.
Right. You want to make the
You
team.
know, I wanted to make the team,
Right.
and that's what my whole focus was.
Yeah.
Um, and so at the end of the worldwide, I think I was the second to the last person called.
All the way to
Uh,
the end.
yeah, yeah, Mr. Edwards.
So just so I'm clear, your Roger was in male vocal or duet or vocal group.
No, my Wilco was in duet
Okay.
with
Okay.
with Daryl Lamar.
Okay. What'd you guys sing for that?
Um, um, and he's going to kill me if he watches this. And
We'll tag him. We'll tag him.
uh, I'm gonna remember it before we get off this.
No worries.
So yeah, so you can edit it
It'll
in.
fly through.
Yeah, but I sent you a picture of it, me and
Yep.
him,
Yep.
and that was Thompson Blue precision. Everything was Thompson Blue for us, or for for me. I
Yeah.
couldn't do anything else. Um, and then yeah, so that was in 1990. We won duet. Um, and then I went home because I was working on a project, and then they called me back um, to do the 90 tour as
Also,
the
that was my next question. So you didn't volunteer or try to go through the system again. You got called back to do logistics of the 90 tour.
yes, I knew Mr. Edwards knew that I couldn't go right away.
Okay.
And all he said was, well, if I need you, would you come? I was like, yeah, because I mean, I had already finished my first tour. I mean, that
Mhm.
that was like, you know, just the that was my Grammys,
Yeah.
everything, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's how it. Yeah, I got called back. It wasn't even a month or something. I was at the gym. Lamar come running in there. Hey, you got a phone call? I'm like, I'm in the gym. Who's
Right.
calling? And he
How,
said, JB. And I knew exactly what that was. I was like, oh, I'm out. Let's go.
yeah.
And
That's my stuff. Yeah.
yeah, and they don't give you a lot of time. They don't say go home and talk to
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
and do,
Yeah. Get your paperwork together.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Financing.
said yes, and he said, all right, well, we got a ticket. Can you come tomorrow? And Daryl was, listening behind. He's like, yeah. And they packed me all up. Uh, and I was in Texas that next day.
When you made the '89 tour, when you were at Worldwide, at the closing ceremonies, which I'm guessing the Rogers, the Wilcos, and the cast were all told that same night.
Yeah,
So how did do you remember how Mr. Edwards, how Tom called you up when you got selected?
I can remember most of it. Basically, like I said, my song was he would do the song that you said,
Yeah.
so he'd work something in there,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he says all this blah blah blah, and he said, and we see, uh, or it was like we see Thompson Blue in your eyes, or something of that nature,
Oh, that's
because I
kind of
didn't
cool.
hear anything else because
Right.
my team knew what that was.
Oh, okay.
So I really didn't hear him call my name,
Okay.
um, but that's where he said, uh, we see Thompson Blue or something in
Yeah.
your eyes, blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah, because I'm thinking, and I think he tried to tag it to what he was going to name our tour, which was Dream into the Future.
Oh.
So, so yeah, so I, boohooed and all of this other stuff, and
Right.
they were like, you might want to get on up there before he changes his mind.
Right.
so, uh, so yeah, so I knew then. I mean that was something that, and I've been successful in the military doing quality stuff.
Uh-huh.
Uh, the Order of the Sword, and all of that type of getting selected with that, and going through the interview process and things of that nature, and making base teams and MAJCOM teams, and getting invited to Air Force camp and all of this other stuff, but nothing like this.
Right.
And my family was like, they had no clue. Uh, no, that's my brother. I'll call him back. Uh, so did it mess up our?
No, you're good. I got you. I still
Okay,
got you. I got you and everything.
everybody's okay.
Everybody's good.
All right, people, leave me alone. I am being interviewed by the great
Oh,
Dave
stop.
Jackson.
I just put my phone. I just turned my phone off just because I'm afraid of it now.
Okay.
Oh, you're sideways. Oh, there we go.
Okay, there we go. So yeah,
Did you ever think during your '89 tour, was there any point that you were like, I'm tired of this. I got to go home.
look, see, Dave, I think you already know my story. Um, during staging,
Mhm.
I was just like, it was so fast paced. Well, Mr. Edwards decided to do a musical. Now imagine all of my Tops and Blues shows, all I saw was 20 people over there moving at breakneck speed, you know, all in sync, all precision,
Right.
and we get maybe the second, third day of staging. He calls us all together and he said, "All right, we're gonna switch it up." And everybody's head went like, "Switch it up? Why?" I mean, and he said, "We're gonna do a musical," and that's what the title of our tour was, "Dream into the Future."
Uh,
High school kids
yeah.
making a decision,
Stateside or overseas?
stateside.
Yeah.
Only because he didn't want me and Damon on the same tour. um, yeah, my basic training buddy, he was like, "No, that ain't gonna work."
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's probably a good call.
yeah, no, yeah, it was. 'Cause it was. All yeah, Damon's a character,
Uh,
uh, but but yeah, so he said we're gonna do that, and Damon was probably the only one who was happy about it because everybody else was confused. So what does that mean? You
mhm.
know? And he said, "You're gonna dance and have lines. I
Oh,
mean, real lines.
yeah.
And you have to be positioned here and on the stage, and you got to move around here and move tables and all this. So it was like a Broadway musical.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so, you're already there. So we started going through it and things of that nature. So, you get the song down, but you don't have the spacing right. You get the spacing down, but you don't have the song right.
Yeah.
And it was killing me. Just, I mean, not from the physical part, but just trying to understand all of this,
Yeah.
trying to absorb all this. So people who had musical background, they were like, okay,
Yeah.
you can do this and blah, blah, blah. And one morning I was like, I can't do it. And this is in staging. So we used to get up and run, and I missed the run. And so after everybody came back, um, yeah, after everybody came back, um, who was our leader at that time? Otis, Otis Goodwin.
Yeah.
And he said, "Derrick, Mr. Edwards wants to see you, because I missed it.
Now, when you say you missed it, you just didn't show up for the morning run that day, or you were at
Yeah,
still call, or
yeah,
what? You said like, I'm not going.
I was like, I'm done.
Wow.
And so I knew I was going home. I started,
You were
I knew the
pre-packing?
stories. I started putting my Tops and Blue stuff over here and this. So then he said, "Wait here, and Percy will come get you."
Yeah.
So this is where me and Percy's relationship started.
Mm,
Uh, it started in '88, but it was like he was the big brother, I was the little brother. I tell you what to do and don't ask no questions. So all right, cool.
right.
Uh, so the long walk from there to um, where Mr. Edwards' office is.
Uh-huh.
So he's walking, so what's wrong? What's going on? Blah, 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 blah. I'm just telling him, hey, I ain't made out for this, I don't know what I was thinking, blah, 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 blah. So it seemed like it was like a 2 hour walk, but it wasn't about
Yeah.
10 minutes. Get the we get to the office, and the long stairs
Hmm.
that go up to his office. Well, all the way there, Percy's like, pat me on the back, you got this, blah, blah, blah. He just wants to talk to you and blah, 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 and see where your head's at, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, so I was feeling better
Hmm.
from his talk until we got to the stairs.
Right.
And I started, and I'm talking, and I noticed that there was nobody behind me. He didn't come up the stairs. Percy didn't come up the
Oh,
stairs.
Jesus. You got it.
So I get there and I'm going like, dang. And that hallway is so dark
Yep.
until you get around there, right?
Yep.
And so, in his calm voice, which always meant the storm is coming after,
Yep.
um, he said, have a seat. He said, so what's the problem? What is it? And then I started saying, hey, I just don't, all these other guys and gals are so far ahead. They can read music, they can do this, they've been here for so long. And I said, I don't think I'm ready for it now, you know. And he said, So, he had that big desk,
Hmm.
and he brings out, he opens his drawer, and he brings out an envelope. That was the that was the letter that I had written
No way.
in his drawer. Now I don't know if he had it back at Randolph or whatever, but my eyes went, oh crap,
Yeah.
you know. And he's
You,
like,
you sent him your dream of the future, what you wanted to do. And then you're like, you know what? I don't think this is
my whole head was, I was like, oh my God. I knew exactly what I wrote.
yeah.
I knew it. So the master Jedi that he is,
Uh-huh.
he played that thing just to a hilt. Now the person, he said, I thought that I selected the person who wrote this letter.
Well, yeah.
You were all, I almost called you back in '88 based on this letter.
Right.
So if you're telling me that this is not the person, if you're not the person who wrote this,
Yeah. If this isn't true,
yeah, then he reached back into his desk and brought out a Delta airline ticket.
a real one or like a fake one he had
No,
standby.
look, to me, it looked real. I mean,
Right. It's
and
like,
back
was
in
it a
those
prop or
days,
did they already have one printed out
look,
for you?
look, he had Delta tickets like raffle tickets,
Yeah.
so he
Right.
could, I mean, so he said, so if I didn't pick the person who wrote this letter, then I will give you your ticket back home, and you'll be able to compete again if you make it that far.
Hmm.
Or if you are the person that wrote this, um, then what I need you to do is go back, get in your gear, and come back and be that person that wrote this letter.
And you said,
I got up and went and ran all the way back to the dorm
uh-huh.
because I didn't come in our blue
Yeah.
shirt. I mean, we didn't have a lot of clothes back then. We had
Right.
a sweat top, two short sleeve shirts. You had to have your own shorts and shoes and all that other stuff.
Right.
But they did give us, the tops and blue gear. But yeah, I ran all the way back, and it was hot. and came back, and then got in line, and then Percy, I think we took a break, and Percy said, I'm going to have to fine you for being late, right? But after that, you would have to kill me to get me off the stage,
Wow.
and that was the only time that I um, thought about going home.
Never on the road.
Nah,
Okay.
I love the road. Man, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
yeah. You couldn't. I mean, I'm never ashamed of. I had the tops and blue chains my whole entire life,
Mhm.
whole entire life, to all the way down to today.
Mhm.
You know,
I would
uh,
completely agree with that.
yeah. So, yeah, that's the touring portion of it. 89 and 90.
So
89 stateside, and I did the movie because he made overseas to the movie because they were not finished with their tour yet,
okay.
and then he picked a few from stateside as a reward because we had already had our banquet and everything,
Right. And they were
and
still on
then
the road.
huh?
They were still
Yeah,
out. They were still out on the road, and you guys had your banquet and everything. Wow.
yeah. So, we kind of teased him with that, because we would walk into rehearsal with our rings on and and stuff like that. So he only picked a few of us. So
Yeah.
that
And you were one
that
of them.
was kind of fun. Yeah, me,
Wow.
yeah, because I thought it was going to be people like E.T. and people like that, but yeah, so that was the
So
yeah they
back-to-back tours, I always respect people, and it blows me away. The whole back-to-back tour things. I was so exhausted after my first tour, and a couple of folks on the '93 tour went back out of like Rick Hayden went back out of '94.
mhm.
Jen and Laura, the '92 team, came out in '93. The folks that do back-to-back tours, I'm like, are you a glut? I mean, of course we all have the program, but I'm like, that is incredible to me, just from a physical standpoint, to do back-to-back tours.
I wanted to learn.
Do you think the tour coordinator job, how, as far as difficulty physically, mentally, which was harder, performing or tour or coordinator, the logistics coordinator?
Coordinator.
Really? Yeah, I
Yeah,
would
yeah,
probably agree with that.
yeah, because you have to you as a vocalist, my um my comfort place was with the vocalist.
Hmm.
I mean, I could always just, if you're having a bad day or somebody else is having a bad day, you know, uh, you had your vocalist. And I wanted to learn more. So that's, uh, that little story was when he called me back in 90, he always has to give me a ultimatum. He goes, I want you back. The program needs you back. This and that, but you're not going to sing.
Yeah,
And if that's going to be a problem, then we can send you on back home. You'll still be a prior, but
yeah, right.
so I was like, now that was a hard, that was a hard thing because I wanted to sing again. I
That
wanted
was
to
my next
go.
question. Did you find that really difficult? Yeah,
It was personally for me because um, because of how much he told me that I grew.
hmm
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, I grow, I want to do better and things like that. And he goes, no, this is where the program needs you.
yeah. This is the slot we have open. This is where I need you. Yeah,
Yeah. And so, I'm a very loyal person. So I was like, I was saying yes before I even thought about it.
yeah.
I'm like, sure, hey, nah, whatever you need to do,
Well,
chief.
for the folks that have done tour directing and logistics coordinator, there's no such thing as once everybody goes home in the lodging, you're done for the night. No,
Hey,
no.
it was a perfect setup for me. Because when I came back, when I said yes, They got me all my stuff. I think it took 2 days. And then I flew out to Ramstein to meet the team because they were already overseas. So my first task was to send home um, one of my one of the one of my cast members from '89.
Oh, wow.
She never should have. I mean, God, now I forget her name too. Uh, but she was one of in '89. We had one of two. We had two officers. Um, the one who played Phaser and then the female. Uh, so Mr. Edwards brought her out to be tour director,
Yeah.
and her her makeup was not that, you know. She was. I mean, he just said she was gonna fail regardless because she just couldn't do it. She was the nicest person. She was the one always, let's get, kumbaya. Uh, so that was my first task. He said, "You're gonna go out, team. You're gonna meet the team. You're gonna get their um, ticket. I mean, not tickets to room keys and blah 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 blah. And then you're gonna have her come to the room, and that's where I'm going to tell her that she is not going to be the tour director anymore."
Wow. So you as the logistics guy. Wait, now hang on. Let me back up here. So Tom told her, or you had to tell her, and you were just in the same room and Tom told her.
I was in the same room.
Okay, so it was a phone call, or was Tom
Yes.
there? Oh, it was a phone call. Okay.
Yeah. So she was the tour director.
Wow.
And so then I started thinking, so you didn't send out a tour director. You told me I was going to be logistics.
Yeah.
So I'm looking around going like, okay, so Bernie them are like, he would send Bernie out. Dave Sullivan came out for a little bit, but I was the only one officially on staff
Mhm.
that was on the tour.
So you were wearing all the hats.
I was wearing all the hats, trying to learn.
Right.
I mean, I learned a little bit in '89, but not to that point, because once they call everybody up on the stage, I was like, all right, I gotta go.
Yeah.
You know, uh, Mara, that's that's
Oh yeah. She
that's
came out on
her.
our tour. She came
Yeah,
on the Miami tour. She's our finance officer on tour when we went
yes,
to Eastern Europe.
love
Wonderful gal.
her,
Wonderful gal.
love her, but just not. I mean, and she didn't even. I mean, she was like, okay, so yeah, so that first about month and a half, I said, uh, they sent me what I now know were my trainers.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh,
That makes sense.
yeah, well, it didn't make sense to me
Yeah.
because, I'm going like, every 2 weeks I got a new boss,
Well,
you
that's
know,
true. Yeah.
and,
There's
and I
that.
mean, and everybody was cool except for Bernie.
Uh-huh.
Alpha dog. You you
Yeah.
you can't, so he came out like, I'm the boss, you're gonna do what I say.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you know,
Yeah.
and he challenged me a lot.
I had the same exact situation with Bernie in 97. Exact same scenario.
Man, I mean,
Exact same scenario.
he would do it and be looking at me out the side of his eye, and I'm going like, we one day we're gonna go around the corner and
Yeah.
we're gonna test this out. But
Did you think Bernie, I'm always fascinated by Bernie. Did you think Bernie was going behind your back to Tom?
no,
Okay.
I never thought that.
Okay.
Now I'm sure Tom was asking a report. I'm sure Tom was asking him how is he doing.
Right.
Now I'm not gonna say he lied, but he was like, no, you know, I think his thing was he's doing exactly what I thought he would do. You know, he said, Bernie was pissing me off, but I wouldn't let him take me there.
Right.
And then when it got a little bit too much, then that's when Dave Sullivan came out. And that's kind of that was so Dave came out and kind of like smoothed it over a little bit,
Right.
still stayed in my butt.
Yeah.
Uh, and then we got back to the States for a little bit. And that's where my man, Percy,
Uh,
I mean, Percy was my tour director. So
right.
we were close then.
Yeah.
Uh, but
What a
running that
relief.
tour,
What a
huh?
relief that had. What a relief that had to have been.
Oh, that was wonderful. I mean,
Yeah.
I got to tease him because
Yeah.
I was always teasing him.
Yeah.
I was like, Tom is going to send you out here,
Mhm.
and he's like, no, 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 no. And then the moment we were changing over the equipment, yeah, because we came back to the stateside and we were changing over equipment, and I saw him in the tech room getting all of his gear. And I walked by and I kind of like looked back.
Yeah.
And yeah, he gave me some words of his, some cushion words like, get out of here, And I was like, I see you on the bus.
Wow.
And yeah, so that was wonderful for me. And I mean, we didn't have to do a lot to make that tour work the way it needed to be.
Mhm.
But that's when it really took off.
Did
The
did
90
that tour
tour.
become when Percy got on board and you guys established your food chain
Oh yeah.
on autopilot from then on out?
Oh man, it was Batman and Robin.
That was great. That's great.
It was
Yeah.
Batman and Robin, man. He'd be like, get him. And I'm like, okay.
Okay.
And look, remember, I'm talking to people who got me into the program.
Right. Right.
Like like Huey, I
Yeah.
stand him and I like you do that shit again. Oops, I mean, you can
Yeah.
bleep that out.
Yeah.
Um, um, you
You
do
didn't
that
say what
again,
it was about.
I will send you home. And I stood up and told Huey, I will send you home. And he looked at me like, you gonna send me home?
Wow.
Like, yeah, yeah.
I
'Cause
found you. I discovered you.
and that's the
You
look
don't
he
know
had
who
on
you're
his
talking
face.
to, young man.
That's the look he had on his face.
No
And
doubt.
yeah, and everybody was like, and Huey was like, you heard him. You heard him, Huey.
Wow.
so um yeah, yeah, that tour, man. Everybody has their, everybody's tour is best and all of that other stuff, and they rightly should say that. But that tour, yeah, not
Well,
one,
I
not one
remember the
bad show.
89 show. I remember the
Huh?
89 show. I remember the 89 show.
No, not 89.
Well, the 90 show. I remember the 90 show. I
Not
apologize. The 90 show.
yeah,
I remember the
yeah,
90 show
yeah,
too. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
89 was the first and only musical that we did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, that 90 tour, and I say it all the time. I did that. I put that tour up against the old folks, and
Yeah.
they could
No.
hold their own. I'm not gonna say they were better than most of them because them. I mean, the ones who I grew up on was just,
How
it's
many
like, why
priors were on
did
that
you,
tour?
huh?
How many priors were on that tour?
Ooh, and Golden Roger winners.
Okay.
Um, it was Lane McRae,
Yeah.
Huey Gaucher. Tracy was on that tour.
Okay.
Um, I hope I'm not forgetting anyone.
Well, I go back and look. I was just curious. Was it stacked heavily with priors?
Uh, no, I think it was I would say 60-40, 70-30. But the priors that were on there,
Mhm.
now you got to remember, I mean, they a lot of the priors that were on there matured on the 90 tour.
Mhm.
Because they had, had their issues, and some of them had to go home from that tour, from their first tour or second tour or whatever.
Mhm.
Uh, but how they meshed, we had a nice mix. the biggest thing was they were all mature.
Yeah.
We had, we didn't have any officers, I don't think, but we had a lot of tech sergeants and master sergeants and people, senior staff sergeants is what I would call them. That just were comfortable and knew what to do, and it was not a lot of, you need to do this, you need to do that, or things of that nature. Uh, they would come rehearsed like it was a show, and then when the lights went on, boom,
Boom.
then it would explode.
Yeah.
And that goes for the band too. The band was monster. Leroy was the drummer, band leader. Golly, uh, young cat on the saxophone. Oh, they
Who's the bass
just.
player?
Uh,
I mean, I can look it up, but I was curious.
oh,
There was this one gentleman that was a bass player that's gone unnoticed, and I want to say he was either the 90 or the 91 show. I cannot remember his name to save my life.
why do I want to say his name was his last name was like Donovan or something like
Well,
that?
Donovan Francis.
Yeah.
Donovan Francis?
Yes.
Donovan was my
Yeah.
co-Roger winner. Donovan was that tour. I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
Monster.
I'm telling you,
Monster.
keyboard players, like I said, yeah, keyboard players. We had JC started out. I had to send JC home.
Hold that thought. Granularly, you and I have more in common than the obvious here. You and I both toured with JC.
Yeah. 89, he was yeah.
I have been trying to find JC because he was in Delaware. He worked with my wife at Bank of America in Delaware.
Yeah, I don't know where JC is.
Well, the last report I got, he was on. This is when we were still in Delaware, so 20 years ago. He'd had serious brain surgery.
Wow.
And he was on recovery, and I can't find anything on the internet about JC. So I want to talk to JC because he did a full tour with us.
Yeah,
him and I had to work really hard together because they had to let go our main keyboardist, and JC had to learn all his parts. So JC and I had to do stuff together after shows to pick up those parts.
Yeah, I 89. He was basically new. 89 has some monster instrumentalists. Yeah, we had Vince Anderson was our drummer. Saxophone player. He came from Europe, from Safety.
Was it Bo Walker your bass player? Was it Bo?
No, we had JC. I think, yeah. Or was JC on 90? No, he was on 89. Yeah, I think he was on 89.
Yeah.
But yeah, we the band was just flat out jamming all the time.
Yeah.
Even down to our tech crew. Like I said, I toured with Brian Bird. Brian Bird was on 89 with me as the tech person. But yeah, so my two tours, I loved it. I basically loved it. I would have went back a third one.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, that's where I was at that time. Once I got bit by that bug, and that's what we used to call it on SAC. You got bit by the bug. It's like,
So after all the tours, when were you first asked to come back to work at Worldwide?
I never was really. Well, I was asked to come back, but I had already been working Worldwide. Okay. After that, that's when they switched. When they switched Worldwides to Andrew, I just walked in and said, "Hey, what do you need me to do?"
Right.
And
well,
so I think
what year did you become team lead? Do the team captain thing?
I took over for Mr. Walker,
Okay.
and Percy took over for JB.
All right.
They trained us.
That's
I
an
want to say,
amazing line of succession, man.
yeah,
That's an
yeah,
amazing line.
yeah. We
Wow.
were under the tutelage of both of them. I think it was probably about a year, maybe two. Um, and then we got to, I'll just say like third worldwide, and both Mr. Walker and JB handed over the keys.
Mm,
And he's like, if you got any questions, come find us. You may
yeah,
not find us, but
yeah,
you know, and that's where me and Percy was like, give me the keys to this sucker. Let's drive it.
right.
And that went all the way, yeah, until Percy started working for Arnold Hall.
Mm.
Uh, and then that's yeah, that was yeah, after
Interesting.
Percy started working there, then it was just me and some other folks that, would be the team leads.
Mm. I'm gonna do a team lead show one of these days. I'm just gonna call all the team leads and get a team lead show.
Yeah, that's some stories.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. All right, so
uh,
I got some questions for you.
okay.
Um, when you were performing your 89, what was your biggest what do you believe was your biggest on stage screw up?
When I jumped off the stage. I was supposed to. I was doing Born the Boogie. That's another story.
Huh?
Um, Doing Born the Boogie. I was up on the bar area.
Mhm,
I ran across, did some spins or whatever the case may be,
mhm.
and then I just jumped. I've been trying to figure out how high I could actually jump and still land on the stage. Um, this time I jumped really high and I missed the stage.
Oh,
But I landed on my feet,
mhm.
did a spin,
Kept going.
and kept going and got back up on the stage and
So
was met
that
by
I mean it's kind of a screw up, but still.
no, no, that was because the instructions were to land on the stage because
Okay.
I was supposed to be there
Uh,
for the rest of them,
I gotcha.
you know. But they all adjusted because everybody went. They were all down on the actual stage,
Mhm.
and when I jumped, everybody went,
The
"Whoa!"
airborne.
Yeah. So they was like, "Wow," and I'm going like, "Ooh, this is going to cost me."
That's gonna cost you a few bucks. Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah. That's great.
yeah. So yeah, and Mr. Edwards was like, "Yeah, Derrick, that was great, but that's
However,
not where yeah, you were not supposed to land there. You could have hurt yourself." Blah, 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 blah. I was like, "Yeah." So who's going to help me pay this fine? And nobody. So
what uh what song, uh, tour or otherwise, still gives you chills to this day when you hear it? Gives you goosebumps.
uh, God bless the USA.
Really?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, for
yeah.
obvious reasons, I get it.
No, yeah. I mean, yeah. You could not sing that song without any emotion. I mean, there's many other ones,
Yeah.
uh, but if I just had to pick one, that that was to me always the main chord to a Top Some Blue show.
Yeah. What year did they
Because
start doing that song?
it was before me.
Oh, really? I
Yeah,
didn't realize it
yeah,
was that far back. Not that you're
yeah,
that far back, but I didn't realize it was
yeah. I
that far.
mean, but I think back then he didn't do it every single time.
Okay.
I mean, I back in here we go. Back in my day,
Yeah.
um, the patriotic set was like top one or two.
Yeah.
Because you did. I mean, you changed everything, and then got into. I mean, it was set up with the with the costumes and things of that nature. everybody was dressed the same way.
Mhm.
So God Bless the USA was just
Yeah,
you just
depending on the audience, I had a hard time when I say hard time emotionally. I had a hard time getting through "Let Freedom Ring," and if that really rocked, because that I told this ad nauseum on this podcast, the the patriotic set for me was like a rock opera, just a rock opera. It was just so fat and so big, and so wonderful to play. It was built so well. It was like a rock opera to me, but I had a hard time getting through. If Let Freedom Ring emotionally brought me out. It made
yeah.
God Bless the USA that much harder.
But no, I think, and I'm gonna put some money on this. We did that. I think the first time we did Let Freedom Ring was in 1990.
Oh wow. Yeah,
Lane McRae
man. Yeah.
and
He did that
it
on our tour when he was on for us for a while too. So that's
yeah
another thing too. I toured with Lane as well. So there's
yeah
another
yeah. I mean it was Let Freedom Ring would be a really 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 close second.
yeah, yeah,
I mean because and I picked God Bless the USA because it's a staple.
yeah, yeah,
But Let Freedom Ring,
yeah,
everybody couldn't sing that song.
yeah. Oh,
Every,
absolutely.
I mean, and they set it up, and he made it better every single time,
Yep,
you
yep.
know, and the way it started, and then the rest of the cast come in with it, and they just sang the
I remember, I
tablecloth
remember,
off.
I remember Nebu being because he took over. I think, yeah, if I got this
Yeah,
right, I'm sure Nebu
yeah,
will tell me. When Nebu took over for Lane, when Lane had to go on our
mm,
tour, Nebu was openly nervous about taking
yeah,
Lane. Yeah,
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 he nailed
totally.
it.
Yeah,
Nebu, he gonna nail it.
yeah. You have to be. I mean, and then and you notice that it wasn't done on every tour,
Mhm.
you know. You would have to do that. So yeah, he I mean that thing was
Yeah,
so yeah, that's a very, 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 very close second.
I would agree.
And I just I give God Bless the USA the edge because so many of us did it,
Yeah,
you know, and
yeah,
then you have to do it well. And so many different people did it.
yeah.
I remember the first time we had a female vocalist do it.
Oh, who
That
was it?
was,
Remember who it was?
it was after me, but I don't know. Wow. Who was it?
That would be a fun thing to put out on the TIB
Yeah.
side. Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not a lot of them that basically did it, but I do remember it. I can remember being in the audience and going,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah, yeah. No
yeah,
kidding. Yeah.
yeah. So.
Um, what artists or artist? Well, I'm just gonna stick with one. What artist are you really gravitated to through your entire life? What singer, performer did you really gravitate to that you really tried to emulate, or just really you had all their catalog?
Oh wow, that's hard. That's really hard for me. One, first of all, I'm a heavy into gospel.
Okay.
Um, but if I had to say how I would build a vocalist, uh, they have to sing from their soul.
Okay.
I mean, they just I don't care. I mean, and that's across all genres.
Mhm.
You know, they just have to sing from their soul. And if you can do that, I will have all of your music. So it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But just one? No,
Yeah, just give me one.
oh my, Stevie Wonder,
Okay. Fair.
you
That's
know,
fair.
I mean, yeah, I mean, he just, you know, he hasn't put out a bad song ever.
Ever. There hasn't been a bad Stevie Wonder LP ever.
Ever.
No, I would
Single,
agree.
duet. I mean,
Yeah.
so, and then, in about 15 minutes, I would go with, Sam Cooke.
Yeah.
You know, I would go with
You'll get back in the shower in an
Tom,
hour and go, oh, I should have
yeah,
told Derrick this.
Tom Jones. I
Oh,
mean, yeah,
nice.
that
Yeah,
that's me. I mean, you know, I've worn out so many cassette players for the young people. That's a
yeah,
CD or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah,
Um, just, I mean, literally worn them out.
yeah. I,
Just because that's always been where I go. You
yeah,
know.
I can
So,
relate.
but yeah,
I
I
can
got
relate.
so many, so many.
What was your least favorite part of touring, either as a coordinator or a performer?
When the tour ended.
Oh, look at okay, all
No,
right.
you know
Come
what? I've been
on,
asked that question so many times,
really?
and
I'm
I
taking
get
it off the
this.
list then.
No, 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 but I get when I give my answer, everybody goes the same with you. Oh no, come on,
Oh yeah, yeah.
no.
All
I'm
right,
telling you,
it's from the heart. All right.
it's from now. I hate it when the tour ended.
Yeah.
You know, so that's my answer.
Okay, well, that's fair. All right.
And that's with worldwide too.
Oh, I would totally concur with that. Totally concur
That
with that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Um, this might be a tough one. I got two tough ones for you. Then we'll end this on a more heartwarming note. I think. What what prior do you think really? I'm pretty sure I know who it is. What prior do you think influenced you the most?
come on, man.
I know.
Percy.
First, right?
Percy Lewis. I
Yeah.
mean that yeah, that period. I mean, uh when you meet a person like Percy and my own family, the first time that they met him, I didn't have to introduce them and say, this is
Yeah.
my mother said, this is Percy.
Wow.
And like I said before, person I talked all the time,
Mhm.
period. And, some of I mean, all the things that we've, talked about and things like that. Yeah, he was the very few people who was so close to me that they were like my brother.
Mhm.
Uh, he definitely, uh, hands down, nobody else that came from this program.
Right. Right.
I'll just say, um, personality, and that's not just in anybody else because there's so many people in this program
Mhm.
that um, influenced me, framed me, molded me.
Right.
Uh, but that answer, yeah, and everybody else would agree. And if they didn't agree, they don't know,
Yeah.
they really don't know. But yeah, it was
Well,
never be.
I'm sure there would be handfuls of priors that said this would say the same thing.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, and then just his whole, just him just being Percy. I mean,
Right.
you know,
Um, your Golden Roger. When you got voted on the island, I want to hear about that experience when you found out it was you.
um,
And what year was it again?
uh, 2007, if my eyes are right. It's over here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about, yeah. Never ever um what I have imagined. And even if I didn't receive one, which I'm so grateful for because it's not for me.
Hmm.
It's for the people who poured things, everything into me when they didn't have to.
Right.
And it's for the people who I've had the pleasure of working with. Um, I never would have imagined, and even if I've never ever received one,
Hmm.
it still wouldn't. affect how I felt about the program.
Oh,
You
I
know,
would. I
I was
I can't
so,
imagine you going to a different level of Derrick because of that. That's for sure. There's no
I mean,
way. You
no,
would have done
I
that.
was,
That's not who you are. You wouldn't have done that.
I was almost embarrassed a little bit.
Mhm.
I mean, I hate to say yeah, because I feel and I know for me um, that there are more deserving people that should have received one.
Mhm.
So, from my standpoint, the way I wrap it up is that uh, they felt that I deserved it. Um, so I honor them who felt that I deserved it. But I could have never, I mean, I wouldn't have, I would have never ever voted for myself.
Well,
Yeah, and
that's just
you
not
know,
who you
because,
are.
but yeah, but I
Again, I
mean,
use the word mensch. Okay.
I'm still gonna have to go look that up so I can,
I
I'm
told
a,
you, it's a person with honor and integrity.
yeah, yeah, but I want to be, yeah, but I wouldn't even, yeah, I wouldn't say that that's me, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Uh, but no, that, I mean, it's the greatest honor. Um, it's the second greatest honor in my Air Force career.
What was
Uh,
first?
oh, Tops and Blue.
Tops of Blue, making the
Yeah,
tour. Yeah.
yeah, just
Yeah,
being
these, I would
being a part
agree.
of it.
These, I'm making my hand right. These two things right there and that thing right there
Mhm.
are secondary to making it on tour.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
even and then as a extension of that of being called a prior
Mhm.
um, is working worldwide because that is to me that's the ultimate uh, give back.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's the old of. I mean,
That's an honor in itself, getting asked to come back to do that. It's that every time, if Jerry, whoever called me and said,
yeah,
I'm just like, what? I pulled a Bernie. You know?
yeah. I mean, yeah, but it was. I mean, walking. Yeah, I think Libby and I have had this conversation before. Um, just the honor of it to be called back, to be chosen as the ones to keep the program going.
Mm,
So I never ever took that for granted.
well, you can't.
I mean, all the years that I was honored to do it, and all the different capacities of it, and things like that. The hours of not sleeping were totally worth it. I didn't want to sleep.
Mm.
I mean, you
Well, you
know,
feel like you're going to miss something.
yeah, 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 and then they give you a little bit more. I mean, I can turn this on you. I mean, I've watched you go from like me,
Mm,
whatever I can do for the program, 'cause I know you mean it from your heart, and then to be able to be given, no, take that back, to earn the honor of being Team C,
mhm,
which is exclusively the instrumentalist,
mhm.
and being given the reins to do that and how you handled all of that. Because we could do a whole nother show about a lot of our conversations that probably you forgot.
No, I'm sure. But I remember this is where I get choked up and emotional.
Yeah.
I remember coming to you more than a few times going asking how I should handle a certain situation because when they put and it was spotty. Some years I was working with instrumentals, some years I was working with the contestants over at the theater. But I remember coming to you several times and saying, Derrick, what do I do in this situation when this person does this and says this or this team? Actually, I think the most of them were I've got a conflict between team leads. I need to know what to do from there. That's what it was. It wasn't so much the contestants. I think
Yeah,
it was what to do with team lead.
yeah. Who all of a sudden think that,
Yeah,
you gave them a title and they
yeah.
think that they could do
I
whatever they
want
want
that
to.
room. No, I want that room. That's gonna be my
Yeah,
no. That's gonna be my rehearsal.
yeah,
That type
yeah.
of thing.
I can remember one answer I gave you.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
was like, don't let them choose. You choose.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You
No, that
you
I took the, I remember, dude. I took that and locked it in.
yeah, you
I locked
choose.
it in.
You say you get over here under the stairs.
Yeah,
Well, I don't want to be. Then you don't want to be here.
yeah.
We practice everywhere. So
Everywhere.
well, yeah, I do remember saying that to you. It's like
Yeah,
don't let them choose.
yeah.
You choose it.
You choose it. Yeah.
And let them fight it. Let them fight within their inner self.
Mm,
They'll go out and pout, but I
right.
bet you they'll be in that room or under the stairs or
Well, I can say with absolute certainty and honesty between you, Libby, a little bit of Robert, and Lorna,
yeah.
uh, got me through some tough times at Worldwides.
Yeah, I mean, because it's man, he, Mr. Edwards orchestrated all of this. He had to
Mhm.
because there was so many people he could have chosen,
Right, right.
and he chose us to entrust his program.
Out of all the priors,
All
yeah,
the heavenly angels,
yes, yes,
you know,
yeah,
and you look at that and you going like, you know, how did you get them to sing like that? I didn't. They just, you know, they listened to a couple of words I said, or
yeah,
a couple of things you said, and God, I'm almost sounding like Mr. Edwards, and they just believed,
yeah.
you know,
It's a good
and
feeling, old friend. It's a good feeling.
man, it is. Yeah, it's and then to see them, and like he always says, the best two words that they could say to you, and these are our little talks that me and Mr. Edwards have because we don't have these sit down and
Mm,
kick back and stuff like that, and he'll just hit you with something, and it's
yeah,
like thank you because he always says that the best way to when you've done a good job, somebody will say thank you
right.
in some way shape or form.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, this has been an absolute treat for me, and I love
I
you
got
with
one
all
more
my
thing.
heart, old friend. And you got me through a lot of tough times, and we broke a
Well,
few bread together.
look, I mean, you don't have to keep this in further
Okay.
because I've been waiting for this. Um, not, I mean, podcast. Yeah, when
Yeah,
the first time you asked me to, I just said, just tell me when.
yeah.
Um, but I will always be there for you.
Mhm.
Um, because that second day that I came out of radiation
Mhm.
and I walked right past Libby.
That
Um,
was so funny, by the way.
uh,
Dude, we had. I know you're in the middle of a moment, but just so the folks know, Libby and I spent a night before we got there trying to stage this whole thing to figure out how we want to do it to make it fun and funny for you, but not be too intrusive.
no, man, I am telling you, I never expected you to do that for me. And it's not a knock.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a test and everything like
Out of
that,
all the people you know,
out of all the people I know, you know, Libby and I are, Batman and Robin. Everybody knows that, um, me and you have the great respect for each other. But if I had to pick somebody to come at that moment of probably definitely the scariest point of my life,
Mhm.
and come out and once I recognized Libby, and she goes, "Look," and you were sitting there in typical Dave Jackson, just player and all this, and I'm like, I maybe did I ask you what are you doing here
No, you immediately put your head down like this, and you put your hand on your face and you shook your head.
yeah,
You your head like this. But just so you know, our game plan was, and I talked to 3 people at the hospital. I wanted to get a coat. I wanted to get the whole white garb, the whole 9 yards, and I was gonna
man, that was,
approach you from behind and act like I was a doctor and have a chart in my hand and say something silly.
no,
But I couldn't eat
well,
the hospital
you
staff.
couldn't
The
be
hospital
able to,
staff, they wouldn't hook
you
me
wouldn't have
up.
been able to pull that off because you're Dave Jackson. You know
I
what I'm
know.
saying?
But if I
Because
come from behind you,
you would have to say a Dave Jackson ism, as
yeah,
we always, we've given you that,
yeah, yeah.
um, and I think that's what I asked you for. It's like, after I
I don't remember
choked
what I
down the
said.
tears and
Yeah,
figured out where I was at, because I was loopy.
yeah.
Um,
You were a bit loopy.
yeah, yeah, man, I'm telling you that stuff. You sit there and all of a sudden, then they always tell you, be careful getting off the table, and I'm like, and then you're
Yeah.
going whoa, 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 whoa. But
Mhm.
you told me a joke about, but nuts. Was it nuts?
I told you a joke. What have I told you?
About peanuts.
Really?
You were eating peanuts. I
Oh,
wanted
I
to
offered
laugh.
you some.
Yes.
Yes, that's what it
And
was.
it's the way you said it. You want
Yeah,
some of these nuts?
yeah, yeah. You're
You
like,
go,
oh, I know why, because I did that. I did that bit for the contestants about. Remember, because we did with Miss Slade. What's her name? We did the picture with you photobombing in the
yeah,
background
yeah, 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 Heather.
because she won the joke I had said. She figured out the
Yes.
punchline, and I
Yeah.
said she won a handful of nuts, or do you want a picture with your favorite team lead?
And I heard that, and then she
You
was like, and then I don't even know how I got it, but whoever captures that,
yes,
that was perfect.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was
I said
perfect.
something like, can I offer you a handful of warm nuts?
Yeah, yeah. And um yeah. And it was just it was just perfect.
Yeah.
But um that gesture, that's show of love, is I will never ever forget that. I will always be grateful for that. Um, and I just love you for it, man. I mean, it just like I said, I could have had a choice of somebody would have gave me a choice of 50 people,
Mm,
you know, and just I would have just, I said, well,
yeah.
somebody from Texas came with her or
Right,
whatever.
right.
And you were there because it was so genuine. It wasn't anything else. So yeah, 1,000 thank yous.
No,
You never know how you
it was
never
our
knew
honor.
how much that meant.
It was our honor to do it, and I mean, you do the same for Libby and me.
Yeah,
You do the
but
same
yeah,
for Libby and me.
yeah. So I guess that's the pure part of it,
Yeah.
So, but like I said, anytime, anywhere.
Well, you can have my pancreas right now. You want it? I'll give you my
No,
pancreas right now. You need it?
yeah, I don't want to do another surgery. But if I needed it,
Yeah.
I will call you after you edit all of this. I'm like, yeah, you said it.
No, no, no. It's all going out. Unless there's some really crazy faux pas, it's all staying in, Derrick.
Yeah, but truthfully, yeah. I mean, hey, I'd ask a couple questions. How long is my recovery, and how much ice cream can I eat, or
Yeah,
whatever? But you still would get it.
yeah.
You know,
You're right.
you
You're
don't
right.
need it, do you? You don't need one.
No, I'm good.
Okay,
I'm good.
good.
Always
Because I
going
don't
good.
like surgeries.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
Yeah.
All right, old friend. Well, I'm gonna let you go. Continue with your evening. Thank you so much for joining
Hey,
me on the
man.
Priory. I love you
You
like a
know.
brother.
Hey.
Miss you like a brother.
Okay.
All right, Derrick. Thank you so much. Much love to you. Tell everybody back there I said hello.
I sure will.
All right, man.
All right.
Thank
Love you
Derrick
now.
Wright. And he is, in fact, a mensch. Look it
A
up,
mensch.
folks.
All
A
right.
mensch. All right, Derrick. Thank you, sir.
No problem.